Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Wednesday, July 6th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie. I know you guys missed me. I've been away, I took a break, but I am back, Fashion Dolls. I'm feeling rejuvenated, I'm feeling refreshed, and I am glowing all over, as you guys can see. Our very special guest today is a singer and songwriter based out of Suffolk County, Long Island. And I'm super excited to have him here on my platform, ladies and gentlemen. Joining me today, we have singer songwriter Phil Loft. Let's get into it. Hi, Valone. Hi, everyone. I hope you all are doing wonderful today. Happy Wisdom Wednesday.
Hey,
Hello.
how's everything going?
I'm doing wonderful. Welcome to the Dollhouse. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just getting through the day. Just has been a busy day. So I'm just getting through. Blessed.
Yes, it's so good to have you here. So before we kick off this interview, how's your 2022 been for you? Because I know it has been hectic with everything going off that's happening with this pandemic and so many things.
Well, the pandemic definitely hit me in a bad way, but I felt like I bounced back because um I'm still creative and I'm never gonna stop creating. So it just pushed me to be more creative and create new material for when everything was back to somewhat normal. So I just was delving into that and just going through my life experiences um, during that period. And oddly enough, I mean, for me, it was weird because it was a blessing because it kind of made me slow things down and it made me like put things in perspective, like family and my health and everything like that. So that was really important, and I saw that I cherished that a lot more when I was seeing all the stories and hearing different things, and even catching COVID myself. Made me appreciate my health and just being okay, you know. So, but in a spectrum of being out there and performing and sharing my music, that definitely was like a struggle, you know, because I was just getting into performing live and getting comfortable with going on stage and being vulnerable to people. And I'm really like an introvert, but I find that when I was going on stage, I would get really like a lot of stage fright. And I shook myself out of that, you know. And at that period, I was just getting hot, you know. And then the shutdown happened, and I'm like, darn, you know. So I'm like, we was doing these virtual lives and everything like that, which helped a little bit, but it wasn't quite the same because you don't feel the audience, you don't feel like the energy, and I really appreciated that and I missed that. So coming back to now, where there's shows and stuff, I'm more appreciative and more open and willing to do like whatever show I can do, to share my music.
Okay, okay. And Angela, I did not mean to hit that button. Yeah, it was an accident. I'm so sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, Angela Renee. I see you, Trey Sora, and so many others that are coming in. We're here with Phil Love, and we're about to get into discussing his music career. I'm so honored to have you here. Like, it has been longly anticipated.
Yeah,
So it's great to have you here.
I'm blessed.
So
I'm honored.
let's open this storybook and begin this journey. You are based out of Suffolk County, Long Island. Am I correct?
Yes, yes. Born and raised in Long Island, Bayshore. Um, Ever since I was a kid, I was, yeah, pretty much born and raised in that area. And I never really. I always had a. My family was very music oriented. So I was around music all the time, and going to shows and concerts even as a young boy, I was influenced into music. And my grandmother, she was a singer as well. And my mom sang. So, not that it was like forced or you got to do music or, well, when I told them this is what I wanted to do, they was like, okay. So then they were supportive. They said, do whatever it is you have to do to get to the places you have to be in that industry. But they warned me that it's a tough industry, and it is. It very is. Very much so is. So, being in Long Island is a little bit different than the city because I'm about 45 minutes from New York City. So it's kind of vast. It's not everything. It's not as close. Not as many events are happening, but I do get opportunities to go in the city, and I'm still thankful that I'm not like there's opportunities there, In Long Island, there's opportunities here as well, but you have to kind of really dig, and it's who you know and everything like that. So, yeah.
So for you, who's some of your musical influences? Because you've been compared, I've listened to some of your music, and vocally, I would consider you, and I agree with everyone on this, they're calling you the male version of Sade. How does that make you feel to be compared to someone like Sade?
Wow.
Because her music has the same effect, yours has the same effect as well, also.
Yeah, everyone says that a lot. It's either a male version of Sade or the younger or new age Seal. I get that a lot too. And I get a few other artists, but the main is Sade, and that makes a ton of sense because she was and is my muse, and I always give her her due, meaning that to me, again, the reason why I got into music was my first show that I actually appreciated and was like, this is what I want to do. It's when I saw Sade. I was 11 years old, and I saw her at Jones Beach Theater, and her presence, her sound, her vibe, everything was like, wow. I was like, this is really cool. And honestly, um, like I was into music, right? I was watching Michael Jackson, I was watching Janet, but maybe because I was there at that show and seeing how the production was done and how simple yet sophisticated she is, yet simple, it was like, wow, that's amazing, So, I ever since then I was hooked to her, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And for the most part, I was definitely covering a lot of her songs, and I was like getting into my bag with vocals and everything. And then I just grew into my own sound. But she's definitely a main influence for sure. Like, I give her all the credit, I give her all the props, I give her flowers and everything. Even, if I ever meet her, or I'm like, listen, thank you for being existing, So it was her. My main influence is her. Then it trickles down to Janet. I love Janet Jackson. She was like my second muse, and then Michael Jackson, of course. But for some reason, Janet hits me a different way, where it's like I study her stage presence compared to Sade. They have different stage presence, where she's a little bit more effective and sharp and hard, which Sade is a little softer, smoother, and chill. And same thing with Michael. He's definitely a harder performer and electrifying, and I take from that as well. Um, and yeah, so those three, I want to say, with Seal in a mix too. I hear him and I see the comparisons, and I feel that too. Even though I don't directly listen to his music as much, but when I see him perform, I saw him once live, and I was like, damn, this guy's so cool. He's so like just cool, and a great presence and a great soul too. At that, like I just, sometimes when people are generally like, oh, they seem like a really cool person. I feel like Seal is that kind of a artist that you can really talk to and have a good time with, and then he would just sing out of nowhere, and you want to jump in and sing with him. Like, he's that kind of artist that I can see vibing with like that. And then I sprinkle different other artists that I hear or have seen that people don't even know of, and I'm like, yeah, I take from them, and I'm like, I kind of bottle things up and put it in like a pot and stir it, and then put my style in the mix. So it's a whole bunch of other artists and branches of other artists I take from. But I try to still stay original and keep to my sound, because I know what I can do. I don't try to go beyond, like, to be something else that I'm not. So
And it's good that you look up to these artists as inspiration, because we have an artist in the audience. Shout outs to B Brown, actor, singer. Shout outs to my
shout
brother
out.
K2. The K2 spot, make sure you guys go and check him out on YouTube. We also did an interview together, so you guys can go and check it out there. It's amazing. You'll love his platform. You in the beginning of the interview, you said introvertedness, and I can see the comparisons to you, as you mentioned, Janet. Janet is a very soft spoken. She just did the Essence
She
Festival
did.
not too long ago. Shut the stage down, electrifying performance, encore back to back to back to back. Michael Jackson stage presence. You've mentioned all of these artists, and I could think of a few other artists that are kind of like introverted as well too. But when they got on stage or when they did music videos, you couldn't really tell. If you look at hip hop, Lil Kim, if you look at some of her interviews, you can see her kind of opening up when she's on stage. It's different from if you listen to her music. Yes, is it, it's raunchy,
Yeah,
but she goes there. But when you talk to her and you have an interview with her, it's a completely different thing. So people let the music speak for them. What I mean by that is people get misconstrued by the music,
definitely.
but it could be from a life experience, or it could be from anything else. And people take that and they're just like, okay, they make assumptions from your music,
Mm,
but they have to learn to separate the two. Just like with acting, you're not your character. You portray a character, but at the end of the day, when I go home, I take this off. I'm not the character anymore. So it's completely different. But yes, I see that introvertedness 100%.
yeah, definitely am. Like I've opened up actually being a singer and a performer. It's forced me to open up only because I feel like if I don't do it, there's a bit of guilt that comes with that if I don't do what I'm supposed to do. And that's what music, if I don't perform, or if I see someone perform, I'm like, I should be on that stage. And then it's almost like I'm fighting with myself, and it's like, but you're introverted, you're shy. And I'm like, but freak that. Like, this is what I'm made to do. God blessed me with this gift. Share it. And whoever takes from it, let them take from it. And meaning, when I say that, I mean, like, if someone is inspired by my performance or they feel moved, and they tell me that, like, that's like the biggest reward, more than money or anything else, or people, I guess, complimenting me on my looks or anything like that. Music is like the best. Like when someone says, yo, your music really hits, and I'm really like blessed, and you did something to me, and I'm like, that's awesome. Like, that's to me the most important like reward ever. So if I can help the world, feel something in my music that's positive or reflective, then I feel like that's like the best payday for me, you know? So, yeah.
So for you, when you're writing your music, what type of element do you like? Because I know for me, before I started the show today, before we did our interview, I had a conversation. I was catching up with one of my old friends, and I had a candle lit. That's just an example. When I refer to element, do you like a lot of people in the studio with you? I remember I was saying something about our favorite singer, Janet.
Hmm.
Um, Janet did a song in the studio, and she didn't like a whole lot of people in there, or something to that extent. Like she gets very, what's the word? It becomes overwhelming. Like a lot of singers don't want anybody to interfere with the writing process. So for you, on average, what is a studio session and a writing session like for you?
Well, it's similar in that sense. I mean, I don't have a lot of friends. Not to say like I'm like horrible or like I said, it starts with me being introvert and I keep a close circle. And I've had people in the studio with me, like maybe one person. Like a session I can think of that I've had besides myself and the engineer, it's been always been one person. And that was either my mother, she's been there, and because she's a music head, she loves music, and she'll tell me straight up, like, Phil, you need to change this and put this here, or put a break there. She's almost like my third ear because she lets me know, and sometimes I'm like, are you sure? And she's like, just do it, right? And I do it. I'm like, oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I get it. So that, and then I may have like a friend, like a close friend with me, because they're either music heads as well, and they just want to experience my creative process, and I share with them how I create, in that way with my engineer, and that's basically the most of that. Meaning, if anything, it's just me and my engineer. And I work in a studio in Long Island that's not far from me. Shout out to Love Sound Studio. Donnie Klang, which he was on making a band a few years back with Diddy. And he
Yeah,
studio that me and him collaborate and work together a lot on most of my recent tracks. So shout out to him. But when I go into the studio, it's really just me and him, and we're knocking songs out. Half of the stuff, the process of that too, is I already have the songs done at home. There's a format is already kind of the foundation is laid out.
yeah,
Yeah, so once I get in there with them, I'm like, okay, all we gotta do is pick up the pace a little bit, or change things, or add guitar, bass, all of that. And he's like connect. Me and him are like kindred spirits when it comes to creative. When I say something, or I say what I want to hear, or sing it to him, he just plays it, and it's like, bam, it's right there. But that's basically the creative process for me. Really, is I may have one person. I don't have like a whole group of people. Maybe one person I choose or a friend. Um, but that's about it, really. It's really, and I understand though when people don't want too many people in the studio because you want to make sure the energy is very
Right.
simple and almost base. Nothing crazy. No, you want to have a great energy, a settled energy when you create too, because that you want to put most of that energy into the music itself in the creative process. So it's very important to have the least amount of people in the studio if you're really creating from the ground up, or singing. You're trying to do a whole vocal session. You want to be in the right frame of mind. You don't want to worry about texting or drama or anything like that. You just want to be with you and your engineer and just knocking the songs out. So I definitely and that's I guess I work naturally like that as well.
So for you, we talked about being in the studio. Now here comes the big part. Being on stage for you as an artist. When you get on stage and you're performing in front of a crowd, because I know even for me, doing shows like this become nerve wracking as well too. Like I want to make sure that I pronounce everything correctly. I want to make sure the lighting is right. We're not going in and out, or IG is not tripping on me or anything. But I'm a perfectionist in my craft, and I like to make sure that everything goes perfectly. And so far, so good. It's been an amazing journey so far. For you, when you go on stage, what's running through your mind before you prep or go on stage?
Well, the funny thing is, um, well, right before I go on stage, I just say a prayer, and I just thank God that I'm even able to do what I do, and I just hope that everything goes smooth. But the minutes leading up before I even do a prayer, the funny thing is, I look at car videos. I look because I love driving. I love cars, and that's like my second passion. It's like I think I should be a race car driver too, but that's just me. But I look at a lot of car videos, and those things happen to calm me down only because it distracts me a little bit from the nerves I used to get, and I just look at car videos before I perform. I'm like, and I because I'm into cars, and that's like my hobby, and that's like my happy therapeutic place too. But after that, when I'm like moments before I go on stage, I say a prayer. I go in a quiet mindset. I can be amongst a lot of noise. That's the funny thing about me too. I can be amongst like the last show I did a show at open to all entertainment, and it's like a ballroom event. It has like a lot of voguing and all of that. It's really fun, very energetic, lots of different energies. Lots of like high energy. And I was doing the pre-show, and I'm in the backstage area where everyone's getting changed and everyone's into their vibe,
Yeah,
and I I just kind of just cooped up in my own corner and just was like kind of had like a prayer moment. I had a moment to myself amongst all of that, and I can do that, only because I know I'm destined to do this, and I get the voice from God, be like, listen, Phil, this is what you're supposed to do. Because I know if I wasn't doing this, I would feel guilty for not doing it. It's like an overwhelming guilt I would feel for not sharing my music that I've created, that I feel like personally it could be either positive or reflective for someone else to hear, to make them like feel how I felt when I listened to Sade or Seal or Janet Jackson, how they made me feel in their music. So I'm just hoping I can touch people like that. And that's like part of my prayers. Like I hope I can touch somebody. If it's just one person, that's all I need is one person. Um, I'm very like that's like the reward. So that's like my goal, and that's my part of my prayer. So I do that. That's my ritual I do before I go on stage. But of course the nerves are always gonna be there, but for some reason lately, the last few shows I did, I'm like, I belong here. This is what I belong to do. So shake up those nerves and get up on that stage. You're here, so you might as well deliver. So
absolutely. And a lot of us as performers or hostess as myself, we get nervous before coming on or pressing that button to come on and do a show for an audience because it's just like, okay, now all attention is focused on you now. You can't mess up. It has to be perfect. So far, everything has been amazing for the both of us.
yeah,
And I'm glad.
yes, yeah, me too. Hey, listen, we gotta keep up that stay on that purpose filled grind and don't let nothing knock us off that track, you know. So I'm glad you're doing your thing, and I'm gonna do my thing too. Cheers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, for this project, because I've listened to some of your music from your past projects as well too. What can people expect from this project? Because I'm pretty sure you've worked with a lot of different producers and things.
Well, oddly enough, I worked with one producer. Donnie's been my main guy because he gets me. And I thought he wouldn't. Funny story is when I first looked him up, and I'm like, I need a new producer because at another time, my last project, I was working with a producer in Manhattan, and he kind of dropped off the face of the earth, like he disappeared. And I'm like, I couldn't get a hold to him or nothing. And then too, I found out the studio we was recording in shut down, and this was back in like I want to say 17 or 2018. So I was a little heartbroken about that because I really had a great bond with this guy and he was really cool. So I looked up Donnie, and this was around the time of 2018, and he helped me mold a new sound, a more Phil Loft sound. So honestly, for the last 3 years, I've been working on this project, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, by late of this year, if not early next year, I have it completed and released. And the idea, the concept of this project is to be more of a consistent sound. There's gonna be some upbeat moments, of course, and there's some, I want to say like chill, feel love, chill moments. That's my main home genre is like really chill, laid back music, chill soul music. That's the basis of the project. But I'm trying to do something a little different because I do like to dance. I like to move a little bit. I like to be that's how my comfort zone has been going with music and dance and performance. I want to dance more. I want to get into choreography because I was a dancer back in high school. I was dancing, so I'm like, why not introduce that into this project as well? So I have a few songs that are up tempo, that are more dancey, and that will showcase more of I want to say a little bit more edgy, a little bit more edgy version of myself. But definitely more laid back, chill, easy listening, vocals and all of that. Like that's going to be all there for this project. So I'm excited for it. It's still a work in progress, but I'm very, very patient. I think that's the number one thing about this project that I'm learning. Patience is very important. Because my last project, I wasn't patient, but I understood why I released it when I did.
Yeah,
This project, I want to take my time and I want things to be right a certain way. So I'm just making sure that everything is in its right perspective, sound wise, production wise, vocal wise. I'm very on the, I'm just taking my time with it. So,
absolutely. Shout outs to my colleague Now's the Time. He says, congrats on all your success.
oh, thank you. Thank you. What's going on?
Yes, and he's a big music head as well too. He loves music. He's always like supporting the up and coming artists and he's from New York, so I have family there as well too. So I know all about the underground music scene and these artists that are coming up because there's so much talent out here. People that are writing and producing and
Right.
you know directing their own albums.
You have to come
It's
to
a
New
lot.
York. Have you been to New York before?
I've been when I was younger. I would have been like what 8 years old when I came. So it's been a long
Oh,
time since I've been back.
mm,
Yeah.
you
So
do. We
I
hang
have family there. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, we have to hang out too. Like you have to come to New York. Like there's so many places you have to experience. Like I told you, OTA, they have a dope event that happens every Monday. It's a ballroom voguing event. And it's really fun. I think you would like love it because the environment is very hyper and active and fun. Like you definitely have to come visit soon. Yeah,
I definitely will. I'll take you up on that offer. I love music festivals. Yes, and New York has a lot of that as well too.
yeah.
And it's a lot of artists that are. It's so much talent out the ante. Like it's out there in the New York area. Black artists that are up on the ground in the hip hop scene and in the R&B and the soul scene. Like they're coming up and they deserve that platform as well too.
They
So
really do,
keep
and
them.
it's because it's not easy. So it's good to really open a platform for everybody to showcase their work because it's coming from the heart, it's coming from the soul, and it needs to be appreciated and shown. And I'm glad that there are platforms allowing that to happen. So it's a great time to be a creative and be a performer.
Yes. because in the beginning, like you said, when this pandemic hit, it affected a lot of artists that that was going and performing on stage and things. Like we never expected this to come. And I agree with what Now Time says. Don't sleep on ballroom. And it's not only that, but if you're a fashion girl like myself, it's the fashion, it's the art, it's the core, it's everything
Everything. It's a full
that goes into
show. It makes the show, the fashion, choreography, the dramatics, and that's what I really
yeah,
appreciated. Even during the pandemic, I was looking at a lot of old performances from um pretty much like Janet, Sade, Tinashe recently too. A lot of these new girls and these guys coming out, and Doja Cat, like I'm like blown away by the shades of black that I'm seeing pop. It's amazing. It's beautiful to be in this era of music where we're coming out every which way. We have Lil Nas, Giveon,
yeah,
like Summer Walker. Like it's amazing. It's really amazing to be in a world where a lot of this is happening now. Even though the industry changed, it's still, I think it changed for the better, for some of us independent artists to get our stuff out there as well, and to have a platform like Instagram, Facebook, to showcase what we have, and without any limits. So yeah, I'm just blessed.
absolutely. And I'm thankful too that we now have this next generation of artists coming up
Yeah.
before us that's developing, creating so much that goes into it.
Amen.
Let me read this comment. Literally, the way that Vogue has been able to stay underground for so long. I love it, but at the same time, other dance forms have been taking key components to ballroom and rename them. Yes,
That's true.
yes, and we see that.
That's very true. I have to agree.
Again, that creativity. Everybody's forming their own thing, even with music. Like a lot of artists do not like being categorized. And that was going to be my next point for you. So thank you, Dallas, time for giving me that so that I can sway into that. How do you feel about artists being categorized? Like, for example, one of my favorite singers is Whitney Houston, of course. Everybody knows that. She can do gospel, she can do R&B, she can do pop. And before when she came out, and this was like in the mid '80s when she was on the pop era, when she did "I Want to Dance with Somebody" and "How Will I Know," they're kind of like pop records,
Yeah, they are.
and they would be like, we don't know where to place you on the R&B or pop category chart. So for you, as an artist, how do you feel about artists being categorized? Because I know, and I heard Erica Badu say this, and I quote, she says, "I'm very sensitive about my stuff." So how do you feel about artists being put in a category when it comes to their music genre?
Well, that's a good question because I'm gonna use an example. Another example of an artist, Doja Cat, very easy from this
Yeah,
generation. She's a rapper, but she sings and she does a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of rap, pop, and a little bit of rock too. I've heard her flip songs into rock, and I'm like, this girl's like bananas with it. So to categorize, I think they need to change that system of like categorizing an artist into a box where one song could be R&B and another song could be pop, and then all of a sudden the whole album is supposed to be genred as R&B. That could be very confusing and a little bit misleading, and that's kind of a challenge to kind of shake that. Like either they're gonna have to have categories for artists to choose from and be like, okay, this is me in three or four names. That's the best way,
yeah,
because categorizing one like genre, it's hard because even for myself, I don't see myself as an R&B artist. I don't see myself as a pop artist either, even though I may have pop like sounds. um I see myself as more of a chill electronic soul artist. But they have chill, they have the chill genre, and then they have electronic chill, which is what I kind of bred myself through as well. But then I have other songs that are more dancey or more R&B-ish, and I'm like, so is that R&B? So it gets very confusing, and it's like, how do we really, should there be a category? But my thing is, they have all of these awards, like all of these Grammys and Billboard, and it's like it becomes like, okay, some of these artists are not even R&B artists and they're getting awards, and vice versa, and it's confusing. It's like, it's not like what it used to be where it was very okay. We had R&B, we definitely had a lot of R&B, and now it's kind of like they're molding R&B with pop. It's like confusing, you know. So it's hard. Like for me, I think there should be no category. At the same time, there are specific sounds that represent specific categories, but they fuse them into like one. So I
Yeah,
think it should just be kind of like whatever it is, as long as people enjoy it and they're gonna buy a ticket to the show, then cool. You know, there should be, you know, should be no labels on music really. But you have like, okay, the jazz and the classicals and the country, you know, so they have those genres too. So what do you say to those? So it's like, it's very, it could be touchy. They should have it whereas artists can select not just one genre, but say, like, let's say R&B, pop, chill, electronic. That's like the three genres that artist represents because that's clearly what they should. That's their strong target. You know, whereas someone might be rock, pop, rap. There's some, multi categories explain
absolutely.
in that for that artist. You know, now the funny thing is, this can really go for just to a project. It's with not so much the artist, but an artist may be in this era of pop, rock, and soul. Then another era could be chill R&B, classical. Let's say I'm just using that. It can go. The artist should be able to delve their each project into that because they can be like one era or one theme can be an R&B slash rock era or vibe, where another can be chill pop or something. Like that's we need to have more flexibility when it comes to categorizing things. That's what I'm saying. It can't be just to an artist. It maybe could be to each project because Drake is like he has a whole dance our EDM like dance vibe project. And then it's some some hip hop stuff, but mostly it's a lot of dance Afrobeat ish stuff happening there, you know? So I think I think it should be not so much the artists being categorized, but maybe their projects. Because artists want to change and they want to do different things too. So
Yeah, experiment. And that's what Beyonce's doing with this new project that dropped, Renaissance. The record she dropped is like a house hip hop type record.
sure.
But she said she wanted to do country, and because we know her for singing about, relationships and things like that. And she doesn't want to be put into a box. For each album, she sung about love and relationships and things that she's experienced with her marriage and, being among all of these things. But this project here, the eighth studio project that she released, she wanted to have a different sound. She wanted to come back with a different light. It surprised people and have people like, okay, is this really Beyonce? Like
Mm-hmm.
every artist has a different category. They do not like being put in a box.
Amen.
Even gospel singers for that nature. Um, I can think of Yolanda
Mhm.
Adams. Yolanda Adams, she can do R&B, she can do soul,
Yeah.
and at the same time, she can also do her gospel music.
Amen.
So it's like everybody is willing to switch up and be versatile. Fantasia is another one. Jasmine Sullivan is another one. I can go on and on. The
Whew.
list goes
Yeah.
on
That's
and
what I
on
want. Yeah.
of,
Yep.
of artists who are able to, push the envelope in the ante
Mhm.
when it comes.
I totally agree, and I like how Beyonce is switching up, and doing something almost that's completely different from her last project, where it's kind of a throwback dancey vibe, you know, era, you know. And I'm curious to see what the rest of her album is going to sound like because I'm sure it's going to be different facets, and I'm kind of expecting her to pull up some kind of rock something. I don't know something. I feel like she's going to pull up something with some guitar bass vibe too. So I'm looking forward to her project as well. So I'm just like excited, because I think breaking those categoric lines now should be the way to do that because. Like you said, no artist wants to be put in a box, because it gets boring. It gets to the point where it's like, okay, it's a little what's the word? Like you kind of know, like it's not as mysterious like it used to be. It's very like we've seen that, we heard that before. We want something new. It's like you listen to it. Okay, the first 5 seconds is like okay, we've heard this before. So you want to change it up a little bit, and that's even for myself. I think about okay, how different is this from my last song? And I don't purposely do that, but I kind of compare sounds and songs to each other. And I'm like, okay, they're completely different. and there's some songs that are very similar, but they have a different um what's the word, like an undertone to them too. So it's interesting, you know. It's very interesting to say the least.
Absolutely. All right, fashion dolls, it is time for our games with Phil.
Uh-oh.
The first one is called the Rapid Five, and Phil has to tell us five things that he can't live without. It can be just in general your goals, your passions, your favorite thing to do. What are five things that you can't live without? And the next one is going to be his thoughts, where I'm going to call out the names to a few artists, and you give me one word to describe them. All right. So we're going to start off with the rapid five. What are five things that Phil can't live without?
Hmm. My car, gas.
All right.
These prices are way too high. Um,
Yes.
music, because that gets me through the day, and I'm also a creator. What's another thing? Oh, I can't live without. Oh, because I need food, right? I definitely need food, right? I mean, that's what that is. That three or four? That's four. Okay,
That's three.
that's three. That's
That's three. You gave
car,
me your car,
gas.
music, food, gas.
Yeah, gas. That's four. Because I need. Well, my car
Okay.
is gas
That's four.
powered.
You need one more.
But one
One more.
God. Because I'm very much on my hygiene, so I'm gonna say toiletries and toothbrush.
All right.
Keep clean.
Those are the essentials.
Yes.
All right. All right, Fashion Dolls. That is his top five, his rapid five. Now we're going to get into his thoughts. And in this category, what we do is we talk about artists. You give me one word to describe each musical artist. All right. So the first artist that I'm going to start off with is Janae Aiko.
Therapeutic.
Mm, okay. The next one is Maxwell.
Cool as fuck.
Okay. SZA.
Mm. SZA. I'm gonna say she's like she's the R&B wave. She is.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next artist is none other than Tinashe.
Oh my god. Tinashe. You say I have to say one word about them?
Mhm.
Tinashe. That's my okay. I want to say alluring. Like she just alluring to me. Everything about her. So yeah.
The next artist we have is her.
Genius.
Okay. Bryson Tiller.
Iconic.
Okay. And last but certainly not least, Phil Love.
Chill as fuck.
Okay. Right. Perfect. And those are his thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. And notice how I chose artists that kind of have a similar sound to you,
Yes.
that have that very relaxing.
Yeah.
You know, I could have included Brandy, the vocal Bible herself,
She
because
is.
she does, Mariah Carey, and so many others who have that very soft tone. And then when they need to get out of their range a little bit to kind of turn the record up and give it just that edge, they're willing to do that.
Amen. Yeah.
So
Ah,
yes.
thank you. I appreciate that. I'm flattered.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. All right, fashion dolls. Do we have any questions for Phil? While you guys are typing, because I know you guys have questions. My last question for you is, what advice would you give to people that are looking to become a singer or songwriter or producer? Because I know for you, you work with producers and you do your own stuff as well too. And it's that balance. How do you find that balance, and what advice would you give to people who want to get into the music industry?
I think my thing is study your craft, keep working at it, never stop. Whether it's will never stop singing, never stop writing. Um,
Yeah.
Definitely, networking helps. Um, be careful with how you network, though. Don't just say yes to every little thing that comes your way. Make sure it's the right match for you and your sound and your brand. even creatively. Make sure that whoever wants to work with you, there's some synergy there. There's some reciprocity there, you know. But in terms of you as an artist or someone who's getting into singing and songwriting and performing, definitely practice all the time. Be prepared. Stay prepared. Whether it's if you have a USB with all your music, have it on a keychain. When you have it in your keys, you go anywhere. Someone's at like, do you have give them a file or something, or keep everything almost in your back pocket. You know, we want to be prepared at all times when it comes to that. But always practice, 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 and never stop. No matter how many likes, don't look at the likes, don't look at the views. Keep putting your stuff out there because all you need is one person. All you need is that one yes that can just send you through the space.
Yeah.
So I stress people, never stop. Don't change who you are. Don't stretch or don't go beyond a boundary that you want to regret later for, just to get somewhere in life. Stay true to who you are and respect your craft, respect your artistry, respect your brand, and know your brand. If you know that if someone's asking you to do something and it's like, that's not, don't do it. If you got a question, it's like, don't do it to yourself. So that's my advice.
All right. It looks like we don't have any questions, ladies and gentlemen. So let everyone know what is the project title and where they can follow you and check out your music and if you have anything coming up.
Well, the project title will be it's still working. It's a work in progress. um
Okay, so
kind
under
of
wraps.
it I'm keeping it high top secret for now. Even though I have been dropping hints left and right with it in hashtags, but I'm working on that only because I'm working on the artwork, and I'm still, like I said, it's a process, so I'm patient with it. So
Yeah.
I'm taking, what do you call it? I'm writing treatments for different ideas I have for the name with the whole visual aspect of it. So still a work in progress. But the whole thing is the release date. I'm aiming for the end of this year, if not the middle of 2023. So
Okay.
I want to make sure I have the right support behind me, and the right. I'm just when I'm ready. I want to be ready for this project. I don't want to throw it out there and not be prepared. So it's gonna come. It's definitely gonna come. That I promise you that. Because if I don't let it go, then it'll never go. And I know 2023 is gonna be the year. Whether something else, it's gonna be the year. So
All right. Writing it in stone and manifestation and manifesting it is going to come full circle.
that
It was such a pleasure talking with you. Let everyone know where they can follow you and check out your music.
yeah. So you can follow me at Phil Loft, my artist Instagram, and my regular page with what I share everything is with philloftchill on Instagram, and also you can f- uh, follow me on Spotify, it's Phil Loft, and listen to my music stream, my latest and greatest and chillest music. And then also to check out my fashion line at Universal Loft. I'm selling these awesome tank top t-shirts, hoodies, and the whole theme is chill the fuck out. It's everything is chill
All right.
out, and I'm not wearing one now. I should be, but I have a lot of t-shirts and new releases for the summertime that's out there in my store, and you can just check it out, and hopefully I can see you rock it, post it on your page, and I'll tag you. So that's where you can find me and my materials and my products.
All right, fashion dolls. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Phil Loft. It was such a pleasure having you here in the dollhouse, and we definitely got to have you back again in the future.
I can't wait. I really enjoyed this interview. I enjoy you having me. Your awesome energy, definitely awesome. Even talking with you before, I was just getting excited, and I'm glad. I'm really honored. So thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me tomorrow, we have Avi Bernard, who's an actor, DJ. He does it all. He's going to be here with me tomorrow. I love you all. And you guys, please make sure you go and support Phil. Check out his music. Stay tuned for the album. Go and purchase some of the merch, his clothing, and so much more. I love you all. And Phil, it was such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much. You take care and be safe.
You
You have
too.
to come
Take
to New
care,
York too.
everyone.
Yeah, I can't. I'm gonna be looking
Yes,
for you in New York because we got to hit up
yes,
OJ, all the hot spots.
that needs to happen soon. All right, fashion dolls. You guys take care. And this interview will be available on YouTube and here on IG. I love you all. You guys take care, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thankful Thursday. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
You too.